When you're a photographer at Walt Disney World, you really have to watch the background of your pictures because, well, you might catch something that you really didn't want to. Shooting pictures of Walt Disney World with the guests, you're shooting hundreds, honestly, oftentimes thousands of pictures a day of people all over the place, whether it's with characters, whether it's, in front of the castle or the Chinese Theater or Spaceship Earth. You've got people all around. And so you really learn to shoot essentially with two eyes open. When you're holding that camera up, it's not just one eye on the viewfinder, but you've got to keep your other eye open and watching all around. Not just the guests to make sure that they're lined up right, but those other people as well, because the other guests impact your picture a lot. One of the most common things that happens is you've got your guests lined up in front of the icon like Spaceship Earth or the castle, and as you're getting ready to take the picture and you've got them there in front of you and you're here and there's a line behind you, and then there's the clueless, oblivious guest that wanders right through your picture. You'd be all set, and here they come, just do 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 do. Hi, how are you? And that was typically what I did. If I had somebody just walk through, hi, how are you doing today? Good to see you. And most of the time they'd look back at me and like, yeah? Every now and then you'd actually get somebody who would walk through and they would stop right in front of you. And you're sitting there with the camera looking right at them now instead of the family behind them. Hi, excuse me, we're taking a picture here. Huh? What? Pictures? I don't want any pictures. Get out of the way! Just utterly oblivious. But you had to watch for that because that happened a lot. But the background could also be tricky. One, there were things that we had to watch for going on that were a regular deal. The trolley show, for example, or the castle show. We're not supposed to be taking pictures of the people in those shows because they are unionized with the Equity Union, and part of that means that we can't take pictures of them because it's paying for rights to do that. And so if they were doing the shows, we had to make sure that as we're taking the pictures, we would actually line the cameras up and line the people that we're taking up to hide them. So that way we're not having to pay photography rights to them. So if the trolley show was up the street a little bit, we're trying to maneuver the crowd so you can't see the dancers. Or if you're down at the hub, okay, I gotta hide the people up on stage. And if you really couldn't do that, well then you kind of took a break during that time. But the goal was to shoot pictures and not show them. The other thing though that would happen is you would get the regular guests doing stuff that you had to watch for. There was the purposeful photo bomb, of course. The people that are, they're taking a picture. And now, as cast members, we would do that. Especially if it was the guest camera. We loved photobombing pictures. But you don't want to do that in the semi-professional ones. It doesn't look good. So you had to watch the crowds. You're looking at your guests, and then you're looking at the crowds. You had to make sure the guests all behaved, especially if there were kids or that obnoxious guy that liked to sit at the back of the family and make weird faces. Okay, sir, we'll take the weird photo in a little bit. Let me get a couple nice ones first. Yeah, you would have people that... Most of the time, the photo bombs are nice. But you would have people that would do rude and obscene things. We had to watch for people flipping fingers and making other gestures, or even just weird faces. Every now and then, you would get somebody who would see the camera and they'd start trying to make out. Or do other things, and you just have to put the camera down, and you would get occasionally, most of the time, people when they saw you put the camera down, kind of wave, would smile, laugh, and then they move on. But every now and then, you get somebody that was determined, and they wouldn't move, or they would keep doing it, and you would have to, hey, appreciate it, you're fun, move on now. Hey, they really don't want you in their picture. Thank you, sir. You're not being funny anymore. And there were actually a couple times that I would have to tell the family, excuse me for just a minute, walk around them and say, look, I'm not taking the picture until you move your butt. Get out of their picture. You're not part of the family and you're not being funny anymore. Not quite that rudely, but boy, did you want to. And people would misbehave. The other thing is, people sometimes would be doing stuff and they didn't know you were shooting the picture. Cheerleading week, it was terrible for this because we had to make sure the cheerleaders weren't doing pyramids and stunts and stuff in the background of the picture that we're taking, because if there's something unsafe going on, that picture's getting deleted. So if you had somebody going into a garden or climbing a fence or doing cheerleading stunts or stuff like that, don't take the picture. In front of the train station, for example, the wall there between the ground and the planter is fairly high. We weren't supposed to take pictures of anybody up on the wall. So you're taking a picture of a family in front of the train station, and if you see somebody climb that wall behind them, can't take that photo because you don't want the picture of them falling off. Not a good picture. So you had to watch that. You had to watch to make sure that there were certain brand logos that you did put in your picture. A famous one was over at Aerosmith, the rock and roller coaster. We could not put Aerosmith in it. We had to partially block it again because of naming rights and stuff. So brand logos, we had to be careful. If there were signs in the park, we had to make sure we blocked it or angled the picture so you couldn't see them. Now, something on somebody's shirt, as long as it wasn't offensive, yeah, that was generally okay, not a big deal. Unless they were with characters. And that's a whole nother video. People like to do weird things. People thought it was funny to make out and make rude faces or rude gestures. People thought it was funny to be doing rude and crude things in the background of somebody else's picture. I don't get that. I mean, first time, okay, yeah, it's kind of funny, but after that, come on, move on. But it wasn't always bad stuff you watched out for. One of the things that we really had to look out for was proposals. They would happen on a regular basis, especially at Magic Kingdom in front of the castle, and most of the time they wouldn't tell us. We would be taking the picture, and all of a sudden you see in the background as you're lining the camera up, here goes this guy down on one knee. Oh, crud. And our rule was, if you saw it, go get it. So at that point, you're seeing them start to propose. You're finishing up this family, and you're like, bang, hurry up, scan that card. Here you go, folks. Somebody's proposing. And most of the time, the family would be like, they're proposing? How cool. Go get it. Every now and then, you would get somebody who was like,
who cares? So what if they're proposing? I want my picture.
I'll come back and get yours in just a second. That's going to disappear in a minute. You will still be here. We would then hand the card off, grab our gear, which meant hold the camera here. We got our PDA here. We typically have batteries and other stuff in the other pocket. So you're running like galloping. It almost looked like one of those monsters. Because you're having to hold your leg and the PDA and the camera and not fall. And you got to catch up to them real quick before the proposal is all done. And then as you get close, you're trying to shoot. And you may have to dodge people and actually tell people sometimes to move out of the way. I only had that a half dozen times or so. But you wanted to get that proposal. So you had to watch the background for that. The other thing, too, was you would sometimes see other special moments happening by surprise. I remember one time I'm shooting the pictures of this family, and all of a sudden I hear this yell behind the family. And it's like, what on earth? Now, you kind of get into a practice that if anything seems slightly out of the ordinary, you immediately scan the card or the magic band or whatever. If you got to, you pull a PhotoPass card out, scan it real quick while you're watching to see what's going on. Because it would beep at you and let you know you scanned it. And I remember I heard this yell this one time. And I was like, what on earth? Scan the card. Folks, let me see. And it turns out I see this family that's starting to jump up and down. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I hope this is good. And I started to shoot. Told the family I was with you. Thanks, I'll be back with you. And it turns out there was an unexpected reunion of, I believe it was family or old friends. It was one of those things that I didn't ever actually find out what was going on. I could just see that there was a lot of very happy yells and tears and hugs. And so I just started shooting. Boom, boom. Hey, here's a hug. Here's a hug. There's a happy face. And just grabbed a number of pictures. And then after a few minutes of this, One of them, and I mean, it's probably like 8, 10 people. And they're just squeezing it. It looked like, if you've ever seen the military reunion videos, it looked like something like that. And so I shot pictures, not knowing what on earth I'm shooting pictures of. And then as they finally, get to relax, one of them looks over and sees me, and I'm like, "Hey, I don't know what's happening, but it looked like a special moment." And I grabbed some pictures, and I got half tackled. "Thank you. Hey, I'm just here capturing the moment and the magic." I handed him the card. Never did find out what exactly that one was. Had a couple times though with things similar where somebody would appear. So you wanted to watch the background for those special moments that maybe once in a lifetime that nobody else is capturing. You never knew what was going to happen in the background. Most of the time it was nothing. Every now and then you'd get something, and then you really knew you got something when you would get that message, "Hey, you need to check in with your lead." Okay. And yeah, there were a couple times that you still would have them because there's so many people. I did get a couple pictures of people in the background flashing rude gestures, and it was like, and you didn't get written up for it unless it happened a lot, but it was just kind of that, "Hey, by the way, be careful." Oops. Yeah, that stank when it happened. Watch the backgrounds. In big crowds, you never know. So have you ever taken a picture and found something unexpected in the background? Or found a way to avoid it? I'd love to hear your stories. Share them in the comments below. Thank you so much to my patrons, my supporters, and to all those people who helped me get good photos over the year and didn't mess up other ones. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so incredibly much for watching too. God bless. When you're holding that camera up, it's not just one eye on the... One of the most common things is when you're... The brain's going, the tongue isn't. I mean, it was... Every now and then, you would get somebody that would see the camera. Been trying this all day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. Be sure to share them in the comments below, or you can contact me. There's information in the description that has my email address, fan pages, information about merchandise, and so much more. So be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and if you haven't already, hit the button right up there to subscribe. And in fact, if you did enjoy this, I've even got another video for you right here. And also about these wonderful people here, those are my YouTube members and my patrons, the ones whose financial support makes this possible. I couldn't do it without them. If you want to know more about that and the perks that come with it, well, be sure to check the description. There's a link right down there. Thank you so incredibly much. God bless.